Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to do part 2 of our wonderful botanical gardens build, and hopefully today nothing untoward happens to little Robin. Unfortunately he lost his skin last time, but it is growing back, you'll be glad to hear, something that we can't do that minifigures clearly can. Anyway, before we get started on new stuff, I want to do a few amendments suggested by you. Good. Well, I think most people agreed that we'd made a really good start in the first part, making this double waterfall section, feeding both of the ponds on the back that will be visible from the standing hole. And it's very bright and colourful, but there were a few amendments to make it even better. The first one was adding cross beams to this temple just to make it a little bit more interesting and more authentic, which I really liked the idea of, and I happen to have the pieces, so that worked really well. The second one was adding a bird to its roof, just because it looked a little plain, and I decided to go with blue, because that's a good contrast colour there, so I really like that. A third one was to add frogs from the original set to the sides of one of the ponds, so if we've got ducks on one side, why not have frogs on the other? Sounds good to me. A fourth one was to use the giant mushroom piece that I was having trouble using that came with the Series 25 mushroom sprite. So I think it's a really good use here, just on the edge of that pond. And I've given her this lovely hair, which I think suits her really well, actually. Some of these new hair pieces are fantastic. So maybe she's visiting, actually. We could use her there. So that's a really good one. I've just popped that on this side of that pond in a space because it's really bright and colourful. There was a small one in here at the bottom of the waterfall just to amend one of the plates that was white that was sort of showing through and sort of spoiling the cross section of that waterfall. And then on this side, just one, and that was to add a cookie to represent more like the seeds, a handful of seeds or a handful of oats or something to feed the ducks with rather than bread, because bread doesn't do them much good. Whereas seeds and oats and so on is much better for them. So I think they are all small, but all very important in making it look a lot better. So thank you very much for all of those. And if they were yours, then this is your Bedoing. Well done. Right, I suggest we get on with doing the rest of the build now. And if I turn this around, I think it's difficult to know where to start, but I don't want to get too enclosed because I won't be able to put in all the intricate plants if I do. So I think the next bit might just be to do a really low levels kind of floor plan of the whole rest of the build. And then I can put in the plants before building the walls around it to kind of seal it all in, because I'm not doing a lift-offable roof section. And the reason for that is because I think all the plants are going to be kind of delicately positioned. And if I'm taking off the lid all the time, I might knock them over and so on. And also, I don't want to have really, really thick beams, because essentially you're going to have a plate layer that's holding it together, then the tile level for the bottom, or rather the top of the bottom section, and then you're going to have even more plates lining the rest, and you'll have some great big chunky white sections as a result. I'd rather have it looking very much like a glass house with as little white brick in the glass sections as possible, and therefore I'm not going to have lift-offable sections. So that's my decision. I'm going to get on with doing that floor plan, and then we can start adding the most interesting part of the inside, the plants. Right, well, there we go. There are the plants. They are done. That was very easy, wasn't it? No, not really. I'm not going to be using these plants here, but I did think I'd show them. And I did try to see if they would fit, but they're just too big. They're these lovely green, red and blue Hero Factory creature cocoons, they're called. And they kind of fold out like this so they can eat a whole robin, or other minifigures are available by kind of snapping shut around them. If you just sort of wait long enough, or if I force it to, then they'll kind of close with a very satisfying motion. So yeah, they're really good. They came on the sets 44023, 5 and 6, if you want to check them out. Quite hard to get hold of, but yeah, I think I will save these because they're just too big for this, and use them in my deep sea cabinet instead as undersea carnivorous plants that'll be eating divers and maybe even submarines. Who knows? They're pretty big, aren't they? And I think a clump, one of each of the three colours, will be amazing. Now, it could have been a good centrepiece for this middle section, but then would have had none of the height. The dome would have been empty. Yeah, it's not going to work, is it? But I do like them, and it was definitely worth a go. Lump. Right, so that is them. So the first thing I'm going to do is fill up the back section because basically it's already getting pretty enclosed and hard to reach. And I decided for at least two of the sections to use the plants that came in the two donor sets as much as possible and then really cram them in so I could use as much of them as possible as well. So the back section I've just done on some other pieces that were hanging around. I'm going to keep this coral coloured sort of boundaries just to give it some real contrast. The back section is going to be the cactus section. So I've got all the ones from the original set, the tall one, these sort of egg ones. One of those is all I could squeeze in, and lots of these smaller ones, I managed to squeeze in all four of those. So that's worked really well, and that'll be in the back. And then they'll need their little sign telling you about the cacti, so that will go in there. I'll push that in a minute. Then I can start to enclose that area after doing that with the first two of these corner panels that you need to buy several more of. The part 30562 if you're interested. And then for the next section over here, I'm going to keep the same theme as well, which was the kind of tropical plants, very interesting ones, using the punk hairdo piece and so on. So I've basically got this in two sections with all four of the tall leaves crammed in. Both of the two heads of the punk hairdo plant, as I'm calling it. Only one of these ones with the broom on the top, unfortunately, just because of size. So they'll all go in crammed in there. And then both of the shoulder pad plants and one of the ones with the heart on the front. So yeah, so far so boring in a sense that I've only used plants from the original set, but I really have crammed them in, so it's going to be really full. And I'm going to have the two hanging plants that were in the original set hanging over the top of those as well. But then we get into the more interesting side of things over here. First of all, by crossing the central section where we have the symbol about the tree, so I'm thinking of sort of putting that in one corner and having a watering can sort of laying around as well. From the proprietor of this place, which is this dude in his overalls, and he's got his secateurs in his hands for doing some pruning, so I'll have him wandering around as well in the middle section. Then also in the middle section I'm going to have the mushroom sprite lady enjoying the butterflies that are all flying around this, because it's not just a botanical garden really, is it? It's kind of like one of those butterfly domes or whatever you'd call it, I suppose, where they're all fluttering around and will even land on you and so on. So she's really enjoying that experience. So I'll put her in the centre section. And then over here, this is where I'm going to put my carnivorous plant, who needs a name really, something like Barry, something innocuous. So basically that's going to be snapping away, and it's quite fragile, a connection to its base. So what I think I'm going to do to have it at its best, because I could have it snapping onto somebody and having them being captured, but I thought it would look best through the roof if it was kind of in an open position. So what I'm probably going to do is remove the elastic band that makes it snap shut, remove the grey pin, because that's one of those ones that's got absolutely no grip, and I'll probably have to poke it through with the black one that I'm going to be replacing it with, and then it can be held in a very formidable open pose. And I chose to do that rather than having a minifigure in it, because I thought with this angle that I've got on this line piece, it's kind of looming over somebody, and basically I'd have it just about to snap somebody. Ah! Ah! So I thought that would be just as funny a scene. So essentially that's going to go there, completely dominating this side of it and leaning over. And then I'm going to cram in as many plants as I can. I think I already lost one that's rolled around somewhere, but these are some of the ones that go on the outside. There's the other one of those heart plants. I've got some plant pieces of my own, which include this sort of leafy one. I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to be able to cram in just because of the space. And then the two remaining cacti might fit in as well. And then there's this one that I made using the lovely headpiece that acts as an orchid, and that came in the orchid set 10311 from 2022, but it's kind of a demogorgon head, believe it or not, from Stranger Things, just with a reprint essentially, and it's very pretty, a bit oversized for minifigure scale perhaps, but it does make for a very exotic plant. So I think, yeah, this scene being dominated by that and Barry, the carnivorous plant, who's a bit fragile, will be really good. And they're on a sort of desert backdrop as well, as opposed to the sort of more soil sort of dirt over there. So I did that all on there so it wouldn't all fall apart, but it has. So basically the next thing is to transfer all of this into there. And if I've got space for one more lady taking a selfie, then yeah, all the better. But yeah, all that in there, and then we can start building up the walls a little bit more. Oh, look at this. I knew it was going to be absolutely amazing when I filled it up. So bright and colourful. It is packed and stacked. So on this side, we've got so many plants, the wall to wall, you can't even see the earth, but that's good. Same in here, probably better seen from the other side. And my favourite, with that visible, scary scene from the top window, that's what I wanted. Not somebody being swallowed, but somebody being terrified about to be swallowed. So that looks really good. And you know what happens when you get eaten by one of those? Yeah, it strips all the flesh off your minifigure skeleton. So that is very scary indeed. And that orchid hopefully will be visible through the side window as well, if I can get the camera to focus on it. There we go, in there. Yes, so we've got lots of life as well with the people, not just visiting the two outside scenes, but we've got Selfie Lady at the back there. We've got the young lady at the front with a butterfly landing on her and that scared man. Oh yes, you'll be able to see that scene from the front as well. Doesn't that look great? With Barry the carnivorous plant about to strike. Absolutely love that. If you want to get a carnivorous plant like this one, they're quite hard because they only came in 3 sets back in 2017. The jungle ones, including 60162, Jungle Airdrop Helicopter. But they're well worth it, and you saw them, the power on them when they had that elastic band on. So yeah, very good indeed. So yeah, we're starting to really form this scene, aren't we? We've got all the major plants in apart from the tree in the centre, so we can start to build up the outside. And the next section I spent a lot of time on was designing these doors with all of their steps. It's very hard to get exactly how I wanted it, but I think I've managed it. And essentially I have to have some curves in tiles for absolutely every shape and every level of it. And then I can have a curved plate that comes in the set and a couple more 1x1 curved tiles to kind of smarten up the inside step as well. Now on the way in, I've got the sign for the whole establishment. I've also got this sort of board telling about the opening times and so on, and I've changed the boring old white handle for something a lot more colourful. Then we've got the butterfly feeder with the blue butterfly on there above it, just making use of these empty studs here. So then that will basically fit there and look very, very nice, both on the outside, dovetailing with those steps, and on the inside. And all the rest of those odd looking areas are going to get filled in with walls. So that'll be very tidy indeed and held in place from above. So yeah, that's really nice. And then the exit, which is going to be just here, I've got the same deal, but without the sign, but with the sign over the top, and another butterfly feeder with the yellow butterfly on. Why not indeed? So there we go. Right, so I need to now get all of these sort of normal sections of windows and so on to fill up this flat front because of the proximity of the street with the minis burning by, and then these two sort of long ends as well, and then we can start to build up the dome. And the original set had a few problems with it, if you ask me. There were pieces like this that weren't held on very well and could get moved whenever you picked it up. They also had kind of gaps in the tiles here and even grey parts where there could have been white. I just thought, why would you do that? Also, obviously, they had the open side, which I'll be getting rid of in due course. But I do need to save these plants to have them hanging over on this side. I don't think I want them hanging over here as well, because they might detract from what is arguably the best scene of all. And you wouldn't be able to see the orchid flower as well, which will probably get lost. But, you know, hey-ho, it is white against the white backdrop. Not the best choice in a sense. Cool, and then we'll get all the pieces to start holding all of these walls together. So, yeah, I'm going to build up all of the windows, and then we'll take another look. And maybe then we better stick in the tree, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to put in. Well, this thing just gets better and better with every step. I haven't put on all the tiles on the outside yet. Started on the front here with another sort of tulip-shaped upside-down heart, bit of extra decor there in the middle. And I've also put these sort of curved bits on to reflect the opposite side being the boundary of the waterfall topper. But it's looking very grand, isn't it? Absolutely crammed full of stuff. And check out this. Could that be better placed? I think not. The Venus flytrap head is just centre stage, as I always wanted, and you can just kind of see the man who's very scared in that window as well, front and back. So that is a really great scene. I've got all the people in there, space for the tree in the middle. I've put these hanging plants in. I wanted to put both sets of the kind of hanging saxophone plant that you can kind of just see behind these pink blooms here, one on each side, but it was getting a bit too crazy full, but I did double up the pink flowers on the very top one, so that is absolutely crammed full as well. See that all through the windows there. Very, very nice indeed. And this is the sort of minimalist structure. The next level is just going to be glass, and then just one more plate level and then glass again, so it'll be a really, really nice dome in there. So next stage is the tree, but even before that I want to sort out what I'm doing with all the butterflies, because as we said, this is kind of a butterfly world type place as well. And so what I'm doing is swapping out a few of the 1x1 bricks with headlight bricks from my collection, so I can put them kind of sat on the walls having a rest all over the place, because in the original set they were all just buzzing around the very top. So I'm going to have that as well with the two that's provided, this blue one and this yellow one. But I'm also adding the one from the Mushroom Sprite, who had that on her hand. She's now got a regular blue one. That is slightly different. And then there's this fourth one, which is also available on Lego Bricks and Pieces from the A-Frame cabin set 21338 from 2023. So got the 4 different ones all around the top, and I've slightly amended this to have an egg on the top to represent that idea set that we briefly looked at last time. So I like that slight change from the ball, and I've put a very small pink bloom on the very top of that to be our sort of wedding cake topper. So that is really good. So I've got a couple more 4 pillars, which will start to go in the next section along, sort of like that, next section up. Then I've got a couple more on the 2 feeders, another blue one and another yellow one. And then I've got, well, another blue one and another yellow one to go in headlight bricks somewhere else. And then I've even got one on a half Technic pin, which I can kind of put in maybe on the wall behind the Venus flytrap. I had a bit of decor on there on the sort of Technic 8 long brick that's going in there, so I think that'll look really good. So yeah, I'm going to add all of them. I'm going to add this second board sticker on the front here, and then I'm going to add our wonderful tree, which I'm going to have to make, well, use of the pieces from both sets to make it even bigger, but it does still have to fit in the same size dome, so I'm going to have to be a bit clever about that, I think. I may try and plan that outside the build, but yeah, butterflies first. Oh, and all these tiles, of course. Let's finish the exterior. Well, the butterflies are in, the tiles are on, and it's looking fantastic. Just the dome to go. I probably haven't left enough room to get the tree in very easily, but I couldn't stop with the building. This must be how architects back in medieval times must have felt just before putting a dome on and hoping that the whole thing didn't collapse with everything else having gone so well. Doesn't it look great? Wow, so pretty. Now we've got a really good butterfly scene on the inside with them on the feeders, on the walls, on people's hands and all the rest of it. So it really is a butterfly fest in there with 2 sets worth of butterflies. But all these tiles have just finished off the outside something really special. And it really does draw the eye because you want to see what all of that colour on the inside is. And there'll be even more sort of street scenes and plants on the outside very shortly. Wow, very good. But enough of that. Even though I love looking at the shape of that front of it. It's quite nice without the 4th sort of kind of bit pulling off it and it being more flat. I think it looks very, very kind of stately and regal. Anyway, yes, enough of that. Let's get on with our tree. Otherwise, we'll never get there if we just keep admiring our own work. So here is the tree that you get in the main set. It's got these lovely sort of double yellow flowers on, a bit wobbly on the springy side. But yeah, it comes with basically a big stick and a little stick. And, well, it's a bit weedy. So I thought I could do a lot better given that I've got 2 of these. So I'm going to pull out the small one and put in the same but basically mirrored, so it'll be going off in the opposite direction. And to give it a bit of strength, I'm going to just join the 2 halves together with this Technic pin here. If I can just sort of pull them apart and then push them back together again. There we go. So that looks quite good. We've now got double the foliage. Will it fit? I don't actually know. Then I've got a shortened second section. which I'm just going to put coming off here, like that. And then this one I'm going to also shorten, and then I can put that on to the new section as well to make it even bigger. And then by bending all of these into a nice pleasing way, we've got an incredibly busy and dense tree, which looks much more realistic actually. I mean, obviously Lego can't put a million parts just for one tree in a set. It will push the price through the roof, but that looks a lot more realistic. Many more branches, many more leaves, many more flowers. So that is what I'm going to try and squeeze on the inside. Whether that's possible or not is another question. What do we think? I mean, it is quite a big area. I suppose if I hold it upside down, it'll give us a clue, won't it? So that's got to go in there. Yeah, it's not looking good actually, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, maybe I've gone too far. Well, what do you know? It fits! I had to bend all the limbs in a little bit to squidge it in and then kind of rearrange them out a bit when it was in position. Kind of like flower arranging, I suppose. Never having done that personally, but you get the idea. Looking pretty good, visible in all the windows. Absolutely love this scene with her in there. Overjoyed with the presence of a butterfly. Very nice indeed. But nothing beats Trevor, of course. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yep, the tree's in. Now we can put the dome on. Oh, it is done. Dome is on. Wow, look at that. Little pink flower crowning the whole thing off. Looks lovely, doesn't it? But what an impressive building. Just so colourful. Just full of details and glamour and waterfalls. Who wouldn't want one of these in their city? Absolutely amazing. It's quite tricky closing that dome. You need to sort of have a clip on all four directions as opposed to the setup that you get in the donor set. But yeah, not too bad. That's why I think it was definitely a good idea to make this fully enclosed and not with lift-offable sections, because I think it'd be very fragile and I think it'd be a nightmare and I think you'd knock everything over and, well, it just wouldn't end well. But this is great. I'm just going to have to be super careful now because I don't want butterflies falling off walls and so on, but it does look great. Even the butterflies hanging off that sort of mobile type sort of setup on the inside look really great as well. All four different varieties. So yeah, really good. So I've got more detail to add to the outside, being the bonsai tree that came in the set. I'll have to decide what to do with the spare one. Another watering can. Put that on the outside as well. Got the bench that came with the set, which is the second one that matches the one out the back that we've used already. So put that there on the front for somebody to be waiting to come in. And then we had these little flowers kind of flanking the entrance on the original. So again, I'm going to pilfer that idea from the main set. And the doors do open still. It looks like they don't. It looks like they get in the way, but they don't. So that is great. The next bit I'm going to do here, which is using the lovely blossomy trees. They're a bit wibbly. But I've got two of those to sort of play with and combine. And I'm going to basically put them both in. One there and one there. And then I'm going to have this bigger bench, much like the one on the inside, all around them. So straight section in the middle and two curved sections. And you'll see I've added lots of little jumper plates all over the place. And that's so I can add the fallen bits of blossom as well from both sets as well. So yeah, that's essentially going to be a big heap of tree with blossom on there. Probably have to thin it out a little bit to get it all into position. So I'll do that in the next session. And then I've got to decide what to do with some kind of plain walls. Now I could leave that because you can still peer inside, but you can also peer in there and other ways. So I thought one option would be to have a nice climbing plant on the outside. And I thought I could use this setup. So I'll get rid of that 8 long tile and put in a 4 long tile and this 4 long with 2 studs and use just some normal tree limb pieces, but all these blue flowers that I've been collecting from friend sets, all over loads of these sort of plant pieces that I got off a pick a brick wall. And then basically that would go like that. So what do we think of that? I'm not sure. I really like it, but am I just hiding the beautiful building underneath? So you have to let me know what you think about that on there. I think we'll be able to make a better decision when we've got that tree in place. And the other area I thought that I could make even more packed and stacked was this section at the back where I could do another thing by removing this 1x4 tile and replacing it with this one with the 2 studs on, and basically have kind of a rambling rose going up the wall there. Even more texture, even more colour, because it's a bit too sort of symmetrical at the moment on the back. And these are the lovely rose flower pieces that were in friend sets a while back. I've been collecting them for ages, and this is all that I've managed to get. I've got a few red ones, but I thought I'd go with yellow just because it's a bit of a contrast. So again, I think I need your ideas as to whether that is a good idea to have that crawling up that wall. So it looks something like that. Yeah? Well, it makes it different from the other side, doesn't it? So anyway, I'm going to put in the tree, and I'll probably put both of these on, and we'll see how it looks. It'll be very easy to remove them. If not, they're not that complicated, but it just makes it a little bit more different. Wow, look at that. Doesn't that look absolutely amazing? Well, it may have taken me an absolute age to get around to combining 2 of the friend set 41757 Botanical Garden into this great big beast. Well, it's not really a beast, is it? It's more of a beauty than a beast. It looks absolutely amazing. I managed to get all 6 of those top attachments into this double bowed tree with the different angled bit on different angles and different halves and going different ways and all the rest. And it looks incredibly dense and realistic, if you ask me, especially with all these leaves on the ground. I'm going to have one on the pavement a little bit further out as well. But yeah, it looks absolutely great. You can see the carnivorous plant in there. That's my favourite. The little pagoda, sort of Japanese oriental garden around the back. That climber up that wall, which I think I do like. Yeah, but do tell me what you think. We've got our very proud head gardener here. All of the butterflies on the inside and that double thickness tree, which is very nice, but arguably it does spoil some of our views unless you really get onto your knees and start peering through the lower floor windows. We've got all of the plants from the original set pretty much in the inside, crammed in. And then on the back, which is the view we'll arguably see most in the current setup of the Lego room, we've got this lovely double pond at the back. Docks on one side and our climbing rambling rose, which I quite like. It definitely makes the 2 sides look a bit more different. And then the frog garden pond with the bird, the mushroom, and everything else on this side. And that is great. And you can lift that up for even more access to the inside and see the scary man through the window. And yeah, it looks really good, doesn't it? I love these little blooms just popping up at every one of these side windows. Means it just looks really interesting and slightly different from every single angle. So you'll have to tell me what you think about those 2 climbing plants. I quite like them. I think I'm going to leave them for now, at least. And I really like all of the details on here. I'm going to continue this dark grey sort of line, so it sort of follows the contour of the building by coming out and then going back in again before continuing along the street. I'm going to put it where I decided last time, with the mini sort of roaring past the front door, having escaped the subway system, and I think it's going to look amazing. But I don't have time to carefully take this up to the Lego room and install it today because, well, it's taken quite a while to do all of this, but I'm very, very happy with it. I mean, my initial description before having actually built this was that it was like a cathedral to Mother Nature, and I think it is. And, you know, say what you will about the future ideas set, I think this one is always going to beat it with that solid glass dome. And you can see the reason why I didn't do the lift-off sections, keeping this incredibly slim profile on all of the white sections. But yeah, it's very rare that you get a wonderful build that looks absolutely amazing from every single angle. So I think when it comes to Brick Nottingham 2.0, if and when that goes ahead, which is looking more and more certain with each passing day and week, I think I have to make sure that this is in a very prominent central position so you can see it from every angle, because it'll be greatly appreciated wherever it goes. Yeah, definitely not the sort of thing to put in a corner. Love it. But do tell me, as ever, if you've got any suggestions to further improve this, make it even better. Or maybe you don't like the 2 climbing plants up the walls. Or maybe I've made a mistake. I don't know. Don't think so. I've even got an egg. Well, has there ever been a prettier set? I'm not certain there has been, to be honest, but most of the work was done by the Lego design team. But I think that all of the additions I've made to make it even better and even more interesting from absolutely every angle have made all the difference to make it possibly one of the best things in my city. I mean, it's very, very, very beautiful. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I'll be installing this in the city, I hope, on Monday. Probably quite a quick video because I don't have a huge amount of time then. And then on Wednesday, we'll be having our brick haul on our sister channel, Brick Haul O'Clock. Don't forget to subscribe there as well. And if you want to send something to that channel, you can to the usual address. But until all of that, see you! Let's hope you've grown back your skin by next week.